You know what? Roberto's got so much experience. Why don't we make him a guest organizer?
It'll pop up that message. I imagine other languages it's also happening. I don't know any other languages except English and Spanish, so that's the ones I've worked with, and it keeps on bothering me. And if it bothers me, it bothers my users. And I don't want my users calling me back saying stuff about my site not working for them, so they're kind of forcing the issue. And Firefox is among the, it's probably, I don't know, the most used browser out there. So we probably should pay a little bit of attention to them, but they're pretty much making it really hard for us not to care. And so that's what Firefox does. When it does it in English or it does it in Spanish. Obviously my Firefox is in English, but even though I access a page in Spanish, it'll still pop up those messages. What do other browsers do? Chrome just gives us a list of bad rap, for example. You know, we go up in here and click on the not secure place up on the URL place, and it'll tell us a whole bunch of lists of what permissions you're giving your application and your browser and so on. It just gives you a bad list of bad rap. Oops. Okay. Internet Explorer and Edge, what do? They don't care yet. Nothing appears with it. It can type in anything and it still keeps working normally. But you can be sure that pretty soon they'll probably do the same thing. Everybody's kind of forcing you towards getting an SSL certificate. So let's pay a little bit of attention and go do it. What kind of SSL certificates should we buy? Okay, there are really three kinds of SSL certificates. There's the EVs, the OVs, and the DVs, in that order. The top one is the most difficult one to get. The middle one doesn't require so much information and so much paperwork, and the bottom one is the easiest one to get. Do they protect the same? Yes, they do. They're all encrypted at the same encryption level and so on. The only difference between one and the other is the amount of work you have to jump and do hula hoop, run, whatever, in order for them to give you that certificate. I tried getting an EV certificate, and they asked me for all kinds of paperwork. And I tried getting their paperwork, and then I tried, and you need to get listed on this site, this governmental site, and now you need to, and it costs. I mean, it costs money because they're sites that they go and look at. And it was going to take me a month for them to even put it on that site, and so I just said forget about it. You know, I'm not gonna do all that kind of paperwork right now. I may do it later, but the EV certificates actually take a long time to get. If you got everything in order, I mean, it shouldn't take more than 2 days to get, but if you don't, it'll take a long time. I was talking one of our clients, the Colombian police in Colombia, said it took them 4 months to get their EV certificate. And so it can take a long time, or if you got everything in order, it might not take that long, but it's a lot of paperwork.
When you say they, who do you mean they?
Whoever gives you the SSL certificate. For example, if you go with Comodo, Comodo will actually trace and look up your company. Some of them ask for your tax returns, things like that, maybe bank statements. All they want to do is make sure that your company exists and is in good standing. And so they back you up. And that's why they give you this extended validation certificate. They're actually backing you up, looking you up, checking that your company is in good standing, so that it's just kind of like a status thing. When it appears on the browser, I have an extended validation. I'm good. Anything you do with me, I'm good. So on. Organization certificate, all they do is want to find somewhere that they can find a phone number, for example, that you have registered on a phone book or whatever, and they'll go call you And if you answer, then you're pretty much good to go on the organization. And usually that's for companies and so on to have their certificate. And the one we're going to do today is the DV, Domain Validated Certificate, because they're the easiest to get. All you need to do is have the power to be able to prove that the domain belongs to you. And so that's what we're going to be getting. The encryption level, like I said, is the same for all of them. I mean, you can go from 1024 to 2048, whatever you want, up above that if you want, or lower, but it's not recommended. Usually it's 2048 bit in order to get one that's good and qualified today. So that's what we're going to go after. Any questions for now?
I do have a question. So,
Okay.
So SSL, if I just had a plain website and I don't have a login, would I still do this?
You'll still get a message up on the top of the browser that says that the site is not secure.
Okay.
And if you're okay with that and your clients are okay with that, I'm sure nobody will care. If you're not okay with that, then you might as well get an SSL certificate and get it done.
So I'm looking at the Komodo website or the Instant SSL, and the prices, you might be covering it later, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. Prices, I mean, you'd think of this, why are they forcing us? Well, there's money to be made, and I'm sure I'm not in that bunch of people that are making the money. Somebody is, but they charge by name. And so if you have a domain name or if you have a subdomain name, they'll charge you both. If you have 3 subdomains, they'll charge you each certificate for each 3 subdomains. However, there are different types of certificates that you can buy. Some are multi-domain. Some you can buy for any kind of subdomains that you have in your domain. They cost a lot more, but you can get them. But we'll see. We'll see more of what the different options are for buying them and where to buy them. So, good idea, bad idea. Going to SSL, the world is moving that way. And obviously, as you saw, the browsers themselves, the people behind the browsers are forcing us to comply. So let's just do it, right? Being secure can't be such a bad thing, right? In the end, if you're going to be using login information or people's private information data, well, you might as well put it securely on your backend. It does cost money. Why does it cost money? Because somebody has to work to actually create your certificate. If they have to investigate you, obviously they have to have somebody there and pay them to go investigate you, see if you're in good standing and so on, so that they can put their certificate or their name with you. Do they deserve it? Well, I guess everybody deserves their good day's wages, right? Can I get it for free? Sure. Free is good. Sometimes. Not always, but that, who loves to give free support, right? I don't know. Is anybody raising their hand? Sometimes it's a good thing to be free, sometimes it isn't. How do we start? Well, we need a domain name, and we also need a DNS provider. They're not the same thing. Sometimes the registrars that sell you a domain name do not give you DNS services. You got to buy those apart. So buy wisely. It's out of the scope of this. We won't be buying a domain today, but we will be buying an SSL certificate. I'll be just adding it to some of my domains that we have. But if you got any questions or stuff about getting a domain name or DNS, we can probably help you out of where to buy them and how to use them and so on. If you have a domain already, then all you need to buy is an SSL certificate. Who do I recommend? You can buy them cheaply, as Arnold already said. He already went and looked at them, and they're really expensive. Some of them are really expensive. Some of them cost $500 and above a year.
A year.
A year. And you know, sometimes I think, well, free or cheap sounds a lot better than paying $500 a year. You know, who's making the money there? Obviously, some corporations think they deserve $500 a year, and others don't. And it's the same certificate. It may not have the same backing. Nowadays, they have different types of ways to back you up. Some of them actually put some kind of insurance on their certificate. They say, oh, if somebody hacks you, we'll give you, you're protected with, you know, $1 million or whatever. You know, some of them are doing that kind of stuff in order for you to go with them. But there's several certificate sellers. VeriSign is one of the most known, GeoTrust. They're quite expensive. You know, for me, I like the Komodo. They've been doing a pretty good job for the past, you know, several years. I put it in bold. I wonder why, right? There's other certificate sellers, DigiCert, Thoughty, GoDaddy. I mean, you can pretty much go to anybody and they'll sell you a certificate. Sometimes they won't sell you, but they'll sell it as a third-party agent. Free, yes, you can get some for free. Let's Encrypt gives you certificates for free. It's a consortium, a group of different corporations. Some of them, like I think Firefox Foundation, Google, a whole bunch of them got together and they decided that since everybody has to go to the SSL route, then we'll make some kind of a free something for them. They're very short term. I mean, they only last for like 60 days instead of the certificates that last 3 years. So you have to be updating them all the time, which is a hassle. But you can sort of do it. They have an API, and so you can do it automatically. NetTalk 10 will have the ability to use this. And here's my fancy word. Goal! See, in Mexico, whenever you do some kind of ad for somebody, right? We say goal, you know, kind of like that. You know, like a goal and somebody wins. Anyways, I guess that's out of the question.
Well, okay. I don't know if you're talking about SSL, soccer or something.
Or soccer, yeah, goal. Okay, anyways. Yeah. Start SSL is another one that's giving out free certificates. I did these. I did one with these. Actually got one for free, and you go and you create the certificate with them, and then they send you an email and give you everything back and so on. You try it, and it was working fine. I was really happy. It was working with Internet Explorer, but not with Firefox. Firefox would just negate. They would not let me go into the site at all. It would just say, nope, we are not allowing you to go into this site. And it took me a while to figure out what was wrong. And I had Larry Sand help me a little bit on, you know, putting together the certificate file and why it wasn't compatible. And I finally read on the internet, Firefox turned them off as a certificate institution, Start SSL, because obviously they got some kind of a problem. They're giving out certificates then that aren't being checked up on and so on, and so they turned them off as a certificate institution. And so it won't work with Firefox. It just will not work. And so, like I said, free is good sometimes until you figure out that it's not so good anymore. So if you don't want any kind of problems, probably the best is just to buy something. And Komodo is probably my suggestion, and I'll tell you why. Probably because they're the cheapest, and we can get them from a third-party supplier, really, really cheap. Where can I get it? And this is a good place where you can get it. It's called Namecheap. Thank you, Bijan. I think he's online. He recommended this site to me, and obviously they were really, really, really cheap as a provider for SSL certificates, and they're Komodo certificates, so they're just kind of like a third-party provider. But they give it to us at prices that are a lot less than than Komodo gives us directly. I think there are a whole bunch of, I think they're in Russia, the Russians.
Oh, great.
Yeah, right? Awesome. So they give us really good prices, and they're on all the time. I've had to talk to their support people, and you just chat with them, and they're on, and they talk to you. You get a different person every time, but they're right on the ball. I mean, the support from them is just, it's awesome. 2 weeks ago, I did the same webinar in the Spanish group, and I couldn't get my SSL certificate back. I couldn't get it. How do you say it? It was a domain. I couldn't get my domain created because we also bought a domain. And online, during the webinar, I got onto the chat system with them and got everything solved during the webinar. So the support is really awesome. Okay. Where can we get, well, word of caution. Okay. Symantec, for example, just got all of their EV certificates, what do you say it? They're on a bad list. It turns out Symantec, they're also a SSL certificate supplier. And according to Google, they've been giving out EV, you know, the most difficult ones to get, certificates, and not doing any kind of checkup on them, because they actually sold certificates with a Google name on them to somebody. And so they were using a Google domain certificate for something or other. Google wasn't too pleased, wasn't too happy. So at least Google Chrome in the next releases have taken out their issuance from Symantec. They will not let any of these SSL certificates work with Chrome at all. And I don't know how far the information will be, but Namecheap, we have here, are saying, you know, if you're in this kind of problem, we'll help you out. We'll give you a free certificate for the rest of the time that you have your EV certificate, which will be a Komodo certificate for free. Isn't that great? I mean, how the world works, you know, you got problems, we'll help you. We'll help you out. Of course, once they help you out, of course you'll be with them, right? I mean, it doesn't come free, but at least they're trying to help people out. And so if you go to that site, you'll probably learn a little bit of more information. I'm sorry, let me see if I can click on that.
That's why we have the duck. Cheap, cheap,
cheap.
Cheap.
Let me see if I can go to that site. Where is it? Hold on. Okay. See, and you can Google it. I mean, you can search about how to, you know, what happened to Symantec and so on about their EV certificates. But they're getting SSL replacements for them through Komodo. Obviously, they made some kind of a deal, and it's awesome. I mean, you have problems, somebody will probably try to help you out. In this case, they're actually helping you out by getting it free. And obviously, once you're with them, you'll probably just stay with them. So, you know, pretty neat by them. Actually.
Wow, their prices are way cheaper.
Yep.
How the heck do they do that?
Well, that's why we go to them, right?
Ah, and you might as well go for the 3 years. Why do this every year?
Right. Okay, word of caution. Okay. Stuff they ask for. Okay, when you get your SSL certificate, they'll ask for payment, of course, right? And then you have to configure it, where all the fun starts, and you'll have to create a CSR. Okay, I'm going to pause the presentation there, and we'll try to go by certificate, okay?
You know what a CSR is?
Right, we're going to talk about it. We'll get to it, okay?
All right.
All right. So,
there's questions out there if it's timely for you.
Okay, let's listen to questions then. I don't know if I can answer them, but I'll I'll try.
Wolfgang says, rumor says that Google makes its ranking depending on using HTTPS or not.
Could be. It is.
Okay.
It's not a rumor. I think it's actually true.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a signal that they use to measure the quality of a site. Remember, Google search is about.
Bruce? Did you finally
It
get
is.
on, Bruce? All
I
right.
got on. I didn't get on.
Well, we wanted to make sure he was on to check what you were saying.
It's true, right?
So yeah, the issue is quality, and Google search is all about quality, and they use SSL as a signal that this is a slightly higher quality than some other site, you know. So for them, it's just a measure of, yeah, this is better, that kind of thing.
All right.
Do you mind if I let Flint tell us what he says instead of me reading his long thing?
Sure.
Okay. Flint, you got a mic?
Welcome, Flint. Flint lives close by to me,
Really?
right up the road.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. You're right in Denver area?
Yeah, he's south of the Denver area.
Okay.
I'm in Colorado Springs.
Shoot, we should have had the DevCon there then.
I wanted it. I tried, but you wouldn't have it.
Well, they wasn't that easy for us to get done.
So Flint doesn't have a microphone, huh?
No, he said just a second. So
okay. Okay, let me talk a little bit about domain names and SSL certificates. Several years ago, when you bought a domain name, you could wait 72 hours, 3 days for it to, when you bought it, for it to propagate and so on. Nowadays, it's not the same thing. I mean, you can go buy a domain name, and in 15 minutes, you're up and running. You can buy this SSL certificate, and it used to take a long time to get them, too. Hold on.
Oh, that was your phone? Okay. Hey, Flint is, go ahead while he says okay.
Sure. And so it wasn't really a question, but as you're talking about where to get certificates and so on, there's a revenue avenue for you as well if you have customers that are installing your web server locally. They're also going to need SSL certificates, and where are they going to get them? And my personal recommendation is to make your customers be responsible for acquiring that certificate, because that's a little more scalable than you managing it yourself. But so what you can do is some of these places like Komodo will have partner programs where you can buy in at some level and get your certificates at a discounted rate, and then you can turn around and resell them at retail value, and the margin is your profit. So that's one of the things we've done with Komodo, and we bought in at level B, and then we decided to move up to level A just this last year because we could see that our internal need for SSL certificates was going to be increasing, and then of course we're getting more customers who are buying SSL certificates from us.
Right,
so we decided to go ahead so we decided to go ahead and move up to the next tier and get a better profit margin. But really the drive for us was that we wanted to get our own certificates for cheap, but through Komodo. So.
Okay, so and SSL certificates, at least the DV certificates, you can buy now, and you're up and running in 15 minutes, which is what we'll be able to prove right now, that once you get your certificate, you can get it, configure it, if you know what you're doing, and get it going really, really, really fast. It used to be the 72-hour wait or even longer, but nowadays it's not even. It's not that. Even domain names now, when you get them, they propagate in minutes. I mean, it's really impressive how fast things are doing now. When you used to change a domain name or add a domain name, and they said, okay, you need to change your emails from this domain to that, and it says you won't have your emails for 3 days. 10 years ago, you're like, okay, well, I can do that. But today, who can be without their emails for 3 days, right? They'll probably say, no, I can't do that. Anyways, so, are there any more questions?
There was one here. John Farmer asked a question. When do I need SSL certificate? When I'm doing web pages, NetTalk apps, remote desktop access? When do I need this?
I guess when your clients start complaining. But, right now what I'm trying to show is your NetTalk application using an SSL certificate. You can have other stuff, Apache will be able to use them, or in any other server that you have, you need an SSL certificate.
Well, I think what he's saying almost is it a web application or is it remote desktop access? And I don't even know how you would get it on RDP, because can you, Bruce?
No, I don't think it's an RDP.
It's just web application and websites, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, does that answer your question? Unless you do TS Plus through HTML5, then again that becomes a web app. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. You can do that too. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get an SSL certificate. $9 a year doesn't sound too bad, right? Compared to the $500 one, Arnold?
Yeah, I'd go for the 3-year essential myself, or maybe even the multi-domain. So, because everybody, and I'll go 3 years, and that's only $26.88. What? Okay. Oh, each. Oh boy.
Remember, they go for, I don't know. To me, it's the same to go with a positive or an essential, except this one's more expensive.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you do that, you got to put, for instance, the 3 domain included. If you put like 3 years for that one, then you change the additional domain. That's when you see the price go up.
Yeah.
So the base.
If you do the 3 domains, this has 3 domains, and it's pretty much like this one. If you buy 3 of these separate, the advantage of buying a 3 domain included one is that the same certificate will work for the 3 domains that you set up for, or subdomains or whatever. That's
cool.
And so if you just have one file that you have to deal with, or a couple files that you have to deal with and put up on your server, and so on. Otherwise, you'd have to have different files and prepare different files for each one of your servers and so on, which might be something that you need to do. But if you're in control, if you're the IT department, and you're in control of all of them together, well, why not make it easy for you? So you can buy a 3 domain one and then add more later. You can add additional ones. So if you need 5 of them, you can get one and add more to it. And now obviously they'll charge you more, or almost $9 for each additional one, up to I think 99 domains. I think you can add to a multi-domain one.
And that makes sense, because a lot of people in their setups, they got like clarionlive.com, but they might go, Robbie.clarionlive.com, Arnold.John. And so they got.
You can point it somewhere else. That's no problem. That's the main benefit of it, because they don't have to remain on the same server. They can be different servers or different web applications and use the same certificate, even though they're not on the same machine. So you can have different services, with the same certificate, just pointing to the IP of that other server. But the main difference is you got to use a domain name to point to it, and that's what they're selling to you, just the name of it. And so you got they got different ones: positive, essential, which in reality all they have in difference between one or the other is that they actually have some kind of insurance on one or the other that makes it more expensive, and things like that. You know, you can also have a wildcard. Obviously, wildcard's a lot more expensive, and so if you're going to use the same domain and just use a whole bunch of subdomains, like you were saying, you could use clarionlive or Robbie or arnold.clarionlive.com and so on. It's probably better to get an SSL certificate if you're going to get more than 3 of them.
No kidding.
You know, if you get, well, let's see, if you get more than 5 of them, right? It's probably a better deal if you get a wild card.
Yeah.
But this one, for example, it's a multi-domain, 3 domains included. They can be any domains. So you can have clarionlive, or you could have, you know, robbierens.com, or you could have, you know, capesoft.com. All 3 domains with the same certificate. Obviously, Bruce won't be too happy about me buying Capesoft, but I won't be able to prove capesoft.com because he owns the domain. You know, they'll make it difficult for you to get it unless you own the domain. Okay?
Oh yeah, free.capesoft.com.
They can't get that one, but we could get freecapesoft.com.
Whoa.
Right?
Sure. Go for it.
Go for it. Okay. So anyways, these are the different ones. Obviously, they go from TVs, and they go from OVs, which are the company ones. Obviously, they're more expensive when you go to the OVs, or the extended validation ones, which are a lot more expensive. They got it on sale. Look at that, for $88 a year.
Oh, we got to get one of those.
So, yeah, and extended. But obviously, you'll need to turn in a whole bunch of paperwork in order to get these. And these will put the little green bar supposedly. So this part will be green, and it'll show your company information. So when you click on it, it won't say namesheet.com. It actually shows the company name, and obviously more information about them and so on from there. Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, I thought they were Russians because I always get Russian people talking to me with different names, but maybe they just have their user, their providers. Well, anyways, their help desk from Russia. Maybe they're cheaper. I don't know, but they're good. They're good. So you get all these. You know, you can get anywhere from a wildcard to a multi-domain to let's go get one. Okay, so I'm going to go buy one. Oh, I was going to show you my site. Does that look familiar, Bruce? Okay, so I created a site with one of Bruce's demos at this domain name. And when I log in, see what happens? This connection is not secure. Here it tells me this connection is not secure. It's giving me all kinds of bad rap.
Wow, terrible.
Right? So we're going to fix that. And we're going to fix that by buying an SSL certificate. So let's go buy it. And obviously the domain that I want to buy is this. Okay? And obviously I own that domain. Written Assessments, I own it, so I can get any kind of SSL certificate I want for that. So I'm going to go buy this. I'm going to confirm the order here. Positive, I've just bought a positive SSL certificate. I got some money in with them. Let me see. I think I have $60 with them. $58.56. All right. So I can go pay for it. Unable to proceed while processing your request. Well, let's try again. Maybe I stayed too long on the site. Let me try logging in again. Okay, Sistemas ready. SSL certificates. Buy now. Oh, there's 2 of them. Maybe that's why, huh? Confirm order. There it is. Pay now. All right, we bought one. Okay, so immediately once we bought one, it asks us to go manage it. And that's where the next step comes. I already got an email telling me that I bought it. If I go look at my email, it's giving me a good active immediately. Well, that wasn't it. There it is. Namecheap, order, confirmation. So it's nice and quick, right? I got an email, I got information about it. Okay, now let's go manage it. And this is where the fun starts. Okay, because I need to activate it, SSL certificate. So let's go activate it. And this is a really easy site to actually navigate. Some of them are really difficult, but this one's quite easy. So immediately it's asking me for a CSR. Now there's different ways to buy a certificate. This place asks me for a CSR, which we'll get into right now. Other places, actually, you type in your data on the website, and they actually tell you, be sure to use Internet Explorer, because what they do is that they create the certificate online, and then they send you the certificate through Internet Explorer, and it puts it into your certificates management place on your computer. Where is a good place to create your CSR? If you want complete control over your private key, you probably want to do it on your personal computer. If you don't own the domain or have access to it, you might want to get a hold of wherever you're hosting your domain and ask them to give you a CSR for the SSL certificate that you're going to get. I can go to my servers also and create it there, but for me it was just easy to create it on my own computer. That way I have control over the certificate, the private key, on my own computer, and then I can just move it anywhere or recreate it anytime I want to. So, how do I create this CSR, and what does it mean? Okay, let me go back to my PowerPoint presentation. I guess, why does it start at the beginning again? I'm pretty bad at this, am I? Okay. Configure the CSR. Created on your machine using MMC. Have you guys ever seen MMC on your window? No, it's probably kind of hidden, right? It's one of the tools that are hidden within your Windows. Microsoft Management Console. And it has a whole bunch of snap-ins that you'll need to put. So these are the steps that we'll need to go. So let's
yes.
Yes.
Just a quick shout out, I guess. So this is very useful if you don't have a network on your machine. But if you have network on your machine, there's a batch file that's installed for you to create the CSR in your Clarion accessory bin make certificates folder.
All right.
Um,
So Clarion accessory
bin
make certificates.
Make certificates. Now, these files, these batch files, are covered in the network docs, but basically there's one there creates certificate signing requests. The only reason I would recommend people use these over what you're about to do, which I think is probably fine, is sometimes people have a little bit of trouble afterwards figuring out where the key file is or that kind of thing.
That's why I'm documenting it so that people will actually can go back to the video and do it.
Yeah. I want you to do what you're about to do. I was just this was an alternative.
And that's great, but that's a batch file. I wish somebody would make a GUI app in order to do this, because it really is a hassle to create these things, and actually later on to do the OpenSSL stuff and so on. But let's do it manually.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
How do I do it on my Mac?
How do you do it on your Mac?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I'm just kidding.
Install VMware and go from there. Okay. So what you can do
one thing worth mentioning is that the CSR, you can create that on any machine you like. You don't have to create that on the server that you're going to run your domain on. Getting the certificate and deploying the certificate are two completely independent things. So it's not like you have to...
This is the creating of your private key initiation, let's say, is a CSR.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So it's not like code signing where you have to do it on that machine. Because code signing, it's really tricky with code.
It's the same thing, actually. Pretty much.
Really?
It's close to it, yeah.
Oh.
But the thing with code signing is that you got to use Internet Explorer, and they send you your private key, and you import it with Internet Explorer, and that's the problem. Yeah. Here, you're actually creating it yourself.
Okay.
So
it's not quite the same restriction then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anyways, we got to load up MMC. And how do you load it up? You go to the DOS prompt, type MMC. You can press Alt-Run, and just type MMC. Okay. So let's just do that. You put Windows R, and you can run the application, or you can go down to the button, down in your window, the search button. If you have Windows 10, and you just type MMC, and it'll probably open it. And it will ask you if you want to do changes to this device and so on, and you just say, yeah, sure. And let me take off my PowerPoint presentation. I'm really bad at this one. Like I said, I'm not a PowerPoint guy, so bear with me. Okay, got it out. There it is. Okay, this is the MMC program console. What do you do with it? What's it got in it? That's kind of difficult. Let's see. What's it got in it? It doesn't have much in there, does it? Well, okay. The first thing you need to do is go to File. And you put here, Add, Remove Snap-ins. And this is a little application that will add all kinds of snap-ins that are inside your Windows. They're like different components. And what you're going to look for is the one that says Certificates. See right there? And what you do is you put the certificates and you put Add. Once you put Add, it'll have you three different options. My User, Service Accounts, put Computer Account. And you put Next. And they'll have this option again. Local computer, another computer, you can go look at from another one and so on. But you're going to do it on your own computer. So just put Local and put Finish. And so you'll have the snap-in on here on your console root. So when you press OK, you'll have the certificates right there. Okay? The next step that you need to do in order to create the CSR is you need to click with the right mouse button in order to create it. And if you go in here and you go to All Tasks and you put Find, Import, there's nothing there. Well, where do you put it? You put it here. There's nothing there either. Well, how do you do it? Maybe Actions over here. There's nothing there either. Okay? You actually got to be in the certificates part of it. Local, where is it? Trusted Enterprise Personal. There it is. Personal certificates. See them there? I've never actually created some of them here, but that's where you go in. And then you right-click on it. And then you can go to Advanced option and look here. Create Custom Request.
Holy smokes.
All right? So you're going to put it in the right location, okay? You can also do it here. New, Task, Advanced, Create Custom Request. So now that you're in here, then you can create it. All Tasks, Advanced, Create. Okay. Before you begin, blah, 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 blah. It'll give you all kinds of stuff. Okay, we know that. Okay. And so we can go here. We can go next. And this you just kind of leave like it is. There's templates to set up stuff and so on, and request format. The request format that we want is this one, PKCS number 10, which means I have no idea. Maybe Bruce can tell us what that means, but I have no idea. I just put next. All I want to get doing is get going, okay? So we got a custom request. Once you get here, then you press here on details. Okay? This little arrow key that comes up here. And you press properties. Okay. So now I can create my certificate. Friendly name. What was the friendly name that I need? Well, I'm just going to call it the same as the SSL in the subdomain that I want to create. Okay, www.writtenassessment.com. And so we go here to subject, and here's where we have to put in the data of the information that we need for the certificate to work. First, we'll go over here to where it says private key, because we need to put information there. So we go to here, the cryptographic services. And the one that you really need is this one, this RSA one. You need to be sure that that's turned on. Some people turn on the other ones, the EC, DH, so on, that you've got all kinds of different certificates that you want. But the one that you really need to be sure that is on is this one, RSA, Microsoft, because that's the one NetTalk works with. And you go to the next button, you see key options, and this is really important. You need to be sure that you select 2048 on this one. That's the minimum that it'll actually work without anybody complaining about your site not being so secure. And I just click on these both so that I can archive it and I can make my private key exportable. Obviously, this is on my machine. I haven't really sent this to anybody, anything like that, so this is on my machine, and so I just press these options. RSA 2048, make private key, okay, and we'll just add the information for the subject. Let me go back
Wolfgang
to
says, why not make it bigger than 2048?
I have no idea. Maybe you can explain us, Bruce.
Okay, so
it'll probably take longer to decrypt. That's what I would think.
Yeah, it takes about 5 times the work for a 4096 key than for a 2048 key, and 2048 is plenty big. So the current kind of standard, if you like, is 2048. If you were doing something that's like seriously high security, you know, you were doing a bank, something like that, then hey, knock yourself out, go for 4096. But it is a lot more work for the negotiation, the connection for 4096. So most people go to 48, and that's the recommended one.
Right, that's the recommended one. So that's what I select. Okay, let's go back to our okay. What do we need to? Well, I've got this on a PowerPoint, so I can make that available if anybody just wants to follow the PowerPoint instead of the video, where all the stuff that we need to put in there. And this is the stuff that we need to add. So we need this common name, this country, the state, the locality, and the organization. That's the minimum amount of data that at least the Namecheap people are asking in order for you to get an SSL certificate from them. Okay? And so let's add that information over here. Okay, and so the first one was a common name. Okay, common name. So what was the common name? The common name was the name of your subdomain. Okay, so all we have to do is add it. www.writtenassessments.com, which is the one I had also over here. So I'll just copy that over there. Okay, so now I've got the CN. And then I need to add the country. This one's tricky because you don't put USA there, okay? You got to just use 2 digits. And there are sites telling you all the different digits for all the different countries and so on. Otherwise, it will not let you create the certificate if you put more values than that on the country. So, since I'm from Mexico, I'll type in MX. Well, actually, these services go to Mexico, so I'll type in MX here. And we need a state. There's the state. And in the state, you can type whatever you want. Okay. And you can put a locality. Locality. And we'll put, oh, let me change that. State, because I want to put where the company name is. Well, where the main office is. And we'll put locality is, I'll put it Mexico City. And the last one will be the organization name, which would be the name of your organization. So I put assessments. Okay, I'll just call it that. And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. You can also add more stuff to it, like you could put your email on there if you wanted to. I tried that, and once I grabbed the CSR that was on there and stuck it on the website, this website that we were looking at, put it here, it wouldn't put the organization name, the primary domain, and so it's got some kind of a bug there. So I don't recommend you adding the email, otherwise you'll wind up into the same situation I did. Just put the information that they ask for, which would be these. And so we're ready. We got the private key information set. We got the information here set. We got the friendly name. Okay, so we press OK. And done. That's all we have to do in order to create our CSR. Where do you want to save the offline request? Okay. Let's go here. Well, I think I created one called clarionlive. There it is. And so I will create a folder called certificates. Certificates. There we go. And I'll put it here. And I will call it W2 Reading Assessments.csr. It calls it rec here, but we'll call it a CSR file, just because that's what they're asking us to put here. Okay, CSR, just so that we know which file is the one that we need. And we put base64. Be sure to put base64 and not binary, and we'll finish. And so what that does, if we go clarionlive, there we go, certificates, there's our CSR file. What does that look like? Let's go edit it. Okay, so there's our CSR file. I'm good. I don't even know if I'm supposed to show what much of this information is. That I don't really care. And so what we do is we just grab this file, and we're going to paste it into there. Ta-da! We pasted it in there. And look, it already tells me that the primary domain is the one I'm going to select, because it grabs it out of there. dbase64 is it, and so on, and we got the information there. It asks it for your server type. You can ask for a Microsoft IIS Tomcat or Apache Engine, cPanel, or other. Obviously, we're other, so we'll do another. Unless Bruce has some other kind of idea, but that's what I've been getting. And that's what I've gotten to work. Okay? Yeah. And obviously it's SHA-2, SHA-2 algorithm, and we'll put submit. And then we're off to our next step. Okay, primary domain, and so on. And now we're going into our validation. Just press next. Yes, that's what we want to create. And what kind of validation do you want to create? And so you got HTTP-based, DNS-based, or email-based. If you do that domain name-based, DNS-based, you got to create some registers on your domain. You have to need access to it. To me, since I already have my written assistant email created, I can just confirm it through email, which is probably the easiest to do. And I'll tell it to what email I want to send it to. Obviously, they have all kinds of emails that they have here, and I'll put next. I need to add some administration.
Do you have to change the country?
Yeah. Use address book, okay. I'll use the reading assessments. Yeah.
Oh, we'll fill it in, huh?
Yeah, it'll fill it in with the data that we have already. Mexico, I guess that's needed there. Okay. Administrative contact. Sistemas at readingconsultants.com. Okay. Next. Okay. So now we can confirm domain. Confirm your domain. Okay. So I'll be getting an email pretty soon telling me to confirm my domain if I wrote it in right. Sistemas at readingconsultants.com, which is okay. So that might take up to maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 2 minutes. I don't know. So let's see. Great. We initiated an activation of your certificate for 1 year, blah, 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 in progress. And so I just got an email. Domain control validation. Domain control validation for blah, 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 blah. To permit the issuance of the certificate, please browse here. Okay.
Copy that code.
You need to copy it, huh?
Yeah.
Then click next and enter the following code. Okay. So that's what we'll do. Thank you. You've entered the correct domain validation control. Yay! We have an SSL certificate.
Dun,
It
dun, dun,
will be
dun.
coming. It will be coming by email also. So it hasn't come yet, but we'll wait. And so on. While we wait, are there any questions?
There is some statements.
Statements.
Well, Wolfgang says, you may also get your certificates from your domain provider together with your domain itself. For
Yes,
example, GoDaddy or whatever. That's a
Yes.
convenient way and not too expensive. And then
Right.
Jane Fleming says, FYI, X.509 standard requires that state be spelled out, not abbreviated. So instead of CA, I guess you type out California. Is that right, Jane? Yep. So that's what she says. So, but you did Mexico, so
Yeah, yeah.
you did D.F for your province.
Yeah, and that works.
Okay.
It works for me, but I don't know. I might get in trouble later. I don't know.
Well, she's talking about the X.509 standard. That's all.
Right. She knows a lot more about that than I do. See, I get nervous when she talks.
Yeah.
I have to every
Jane,
time I get my.
Wait, I'll put a mic on to get you really
All right.
nervous. Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's get you nervous. Jane, do you have a mic? Get him nervous. Hi, Jane. Oh,
All right. So.
no mic. Sorry, you
Okay.
lucked out there. Okay.
Okay, we have our certificate now. Okay, they've complied, and I got my certificate for www2 blah 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 blah, and here it is. It's inside this zip file. So I go save. I'm gonna go look for clarionlive certificates, and I'm gonna put that file in there. Okay, and also get a trust logo. It's ready, and so on. I can go copy the logo, and so I can put it on my site, so people that know that I have a Komodo certificate, and so on, which is neat, right? Okay, if you want to go that way, give them more stuff to do. Okay, so we have these two files inside this file here. Okay, so we have that one and that one. The important one here, obviously, is this one here, the CRT. This is your certificate. And what the first thing you want to do after you get a certificate is import it into your application. And what that'll do is it'll actually merge it with your CSR here, okay, that you created. And so you have both of them there to be able to work with. So you put here and you put install certificate. So I've got all the information on my computer now. Current user, automatically select the certificate, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it imported into my MMC here. So where are they? Where are these certificates? Certificate enrollment request, right over here. Certificates, look. Do you see the certificate that we created? Yes, we do. It's right there. See how I've already made a whole bunch of them over here. Some of them were intents, half intents. Some of them didn't go too well. Some of them I did finish doing, but this one we're going to finish doing. So that's here. And what we need to do after we've found our certificate and joined them together is that we need to export it. So we right-click on it and we put export. Put next. It says you chose to export the private key with the certificate. You want to export the private key with the certificates. Now we need to read, right? No, do not export the private key. Yes, that's what I need. I need the private key, okay? And put next. Personal information. Blah, 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 blah. Delete, include all certificates in the certification, pause, export, blah, blah, blah. So you just kind of put next. See, and it'll ask you to type in a password. So you type in a password that only you know. Or if you saw my fingers, then you'll know what I wrote. And then you select a file. So we're going to put it in here, and we're going to put it, what do we call it? Reading www2. www2 Reading assessments dot pfx. Is that right? We need a pfx. Yes, pfx. Okay. Now that file will contain your key. And just put next, finish. Export was successful. So now we got all these files here. So we have the CSR that we used to create it. We have the zip file that we received from them that has our CRT, our certificate file, and this CA bundle. We'll look at that a little bit later. And now we have created this PFX. This actually contains your key in a format that you can now kind of work with. See, in order to work with this file now, this will create a key file. But if you go look at this one, it's not very, very clear what it is. See, this is useless to anybody. It's encrypted. So you can't really do anything with that file. What do we need to do? Okay, this is where the fun comes. We need to do 2 commands on your DOS prompt. Okay, so we go to DOS. Let's go to our directory. And we go to certificates, and there it is. So we got a PFX. One of the first things we need to do is see if your computer has open SSL. Yes, we do. Okay, because that's what we're going to have to use. This command line command or application. We need to use that in order to convert this file into a readable format. Convert your key. Take your key out of there in a readable format. And the way to do that is through these commands. I'm going to put back the sorry. Oh, I passed it. Did I not? No, I didn't. These are, okay. Using OpenSSL. And this is a site that I found on how to use it and so on. So that's there for you to kind of copy, paste.
Did he spell the word separate with a P-E-R or P-A-R? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
it has an E on there, but I don't know if that's correct, but that's the site.
Okay.
I've got nothing to do with how he spelled the site.
Okay,
Right?
so you copied it. You copied that.
I just found the
Okay.
site, and that's
Okay.
where I learned a little bit about what we need to do. But
Okay.
in reality, these are the two commands that we need to do. We need to export or extract the private key from your PFX file. Why they made this so darn hard to do, I don't know. But I wish.
Well,
There we go. Bruce, we need a GUI app to do all this stuff.
I mean, I appreciate what you're all doing here, but if you just run the batch files, it creates the key. So
Right.
you'd
So
kind
let's
of
just do it. Yeah.
How far does it take us, Bruce, to do all of it, or get up to this point, or what?
So I think it was the creation of the CSR, and which creates a key file. It just creates a key file for you. So when you got the CRT, you would have been done because you would have had the key already. So importing it into the certificate store and then exporting it as PFX and then converting the PFX, that whole kind of bit goes away. So in that sense, look, I mean, obviously it's valuable because, lots of guys don't have NetTalk and they still want to do this. So
Right.
that's important. But the batch files we install OpenSSL, and you just kind of double-click the batch files. Even that whole good interface where you type stuff in, that's a whole lot easier with the command prompt because it just asks you this, and this, and then you're done. You don't
Right.
have to make a lot of decisions about, how many bits there are or what algorithm you want to use. All of that kind of stuff, obviously, we've done for you. But I don't, sometimes going through the process like what you've been doing here, Roberto, is very useful.
Yeah.
Because it helps to kind of solidify that. But yeah, if I was going to do a certificate now, I would definitely
Just use the batch. Yeah.
just use the batch files.
Right.
Yeah.
So this OpenSSL command, what it does, it'll export your private key. Notice that it says no certs here. It won't do the complete certificates because remember we joined it together. So we don't want the certificates. We already have that here. We already have the certificate. We just want the key, the private key. And we'll create it, but it creates it in a encrypted format. So I'm just adding a /e on there so that I know that's the encrypted key. And obviously it'll ask me for my password that I used when if I type it in right. Okay. And then it'll ask it to me again. Okay, and it'll ask for it again. So I just type it in. Okay. And now if we look, we have a encrypted key. If we go look at that encrypted key, obviously that is not the format that we need in order for NetTalk to use. We need an RSA format. And so we're going to grab this key now and convert it into an RSA format that NetTalk can use.
Holy smokes!
Now we will go and we run this command. Well, it added the enter.
What were you looking at that? Mike Tabakin says, Bruce, is the certificate batch you have documented in the NT docs? And I believe he said yes, it was documented.
Yeah. So what we can do, it is documented. What we can do is at the user group webinar next week, we'll look at that piece of it. So from creating the CSR through getting the key file. So there'll be a useful kind of counterpoint to this little piece of what Roberto's doing. A lot of the rest of it you obviously still have to do, buying the domain, using a certificate registrar and a certificate authority and all that kind of stuff. So don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about replacing the whole thing. It's just this little bit from when you created the CSR to ultimately getting the key out the other side. But we can go through that on Thursday and look at all of that.
Okay. So now we got to convert this key, encrypted key, into an RSA format. And so once we do that, it'll also ask you for a password. And now we have a key. And these two files are the ones we really need. www.csr and www.
No, we don't need the CSR.
No,
we
not
need
CSR.
the
Sorry,
CRT.
the CRT. Here it is, the CRT.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Okay. And let's go look at what that key looks like now. If we go look at this one, if you notice up at the top it says begin RSA private key. That's what we're looking for. This is what we need, and this is what NetTalk will be able to use as a private key. Okay? So now we have our key. That's important. This one's worthless to us. This one's a good one. That was a CSR. And now we need to do something interesting. We need to combine this CRT with this bundle. Okay, so I'm just going to open both of these up. See? And so we have this CRT and we have this bundle. And I'm just going to copy this over to this one. So I've got a whole long list of stuff there. And I'm going to save that as, and we'll call it wdo.sir.
No, CRT.
Oh, CRT?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a CRT stuff. And it's worth mentioning that the intermediate certificates, so that thing marked bundle, they must go below.
They must go below. That's right. They got to go on the bottom of this. The first one's your important one, and the rest of them are kind of like compatible certificates that work with different browsers.
Well, no, that's so. So what you've got here is certificates are built on this idea of trust, and so what those other certificates in that bundle, they're called intermediate certificates, and they're certificates between your certificate and hopefully something in your browser that your browser trusts. So the idea is if your browser trusts GoDaddy's root certificate, and GoDaddy then makes an intermediate certificate, and using that intermediate certificate makes your certificate, then your certificate plus the intermediate is trusted because your browser trusts GoDaddy. And different browsers have, to some extent, different certificates in their trusted group, mostly dependent on age. So, for example, an old browser won't necessarily trust the Let's Encrypt root certificate. So there's an intermediate certificate that Let's Encrypt include, which is trusted by older browsers because it was signed by someone that the older browsers trusted. So it's this what they call the chain of trust, and that bundle is just helping to make sure that whatever you connect here, there's something in the chain that they trust, and if there's something in the chain that they trust, then they trust your certificate.
Right. Well, so we have this CRT file that we created from these two files that they sent us, and we have our key file. These are the two files that we need. Okay, so we go to clarionlive. We got this application here, and we need to create a folder here called certificates. Is that what you call it? Automatically you create that, right, Bruce?
Yeah.
Yeah, so on. So we got CRT and the key, and that's where we want to put it. So now we got our application. We got the two files that we need. We're through the hard part, right? And we go to our web server application. I've already got the site set up here. And we go to our web server and just go to the extensions and go to the NetTalk and settings. And then we go to security and we turn this to true. And it says certificates here. And we'll call it www breathing2 breathing. What was it called?
Yeah, cut and paste is your friend.
Yeah, man. Talk about that. Okay. So we got that one. And we have this one. Okay. We got both of them. And pretty much that's all you got to do except for the port. I had it on port 8001, so I'll put that back to 443. so that it'll work on as a secured site. So if everything works correctly, it should work. But let's do something. Okay, let's do something before we, just to verify that the key corresponds to the correct certificate. Okay, and so these guys, because obviously if it doesn't correspond, if you did something wrong, if you exported the wrong PFX, things like that, you're gonna be sorry that you didn't check for these things, because then you'll be running around the bush doing a lot of stuff. So this place, I'll just copy testing your key with your certificate, and why this site instead of others. So I found this site, and this site belongs to these people from Namecheap. Okay. Obviously, that's where I bought it. Obviously, they have the information that they created and so on. Obviously, they could get it, so I don't have a problem resending the stuff to them if I have to. If I have to go to some other site that says, "Oh, please stick your certificate and your private key in here," I don't know where that's going. Or
so
if
I would give them the CSR, but I would never give them the key. Not even the people who gave you the original certificate. I wouldn't give them the key.
Yeah. Well.
So they're saying they can do it from the certificate and the CSR, and that would be okay. But no, I would not upload, even to Namecheap. If you bought it from them, I still wouldn't upload a key file to them. That would be not a good thing to do.
Well, it can become a tool for you if you really need to figure out if it's correct, right? I don't really care about this domain anyways. I'm just doing for testing, and so I will do the CSR. And the key. This is my key. And so I'll put that in there, private key, and I'll do the certificate. And where's the certificate? It was, it was this part of it. You can't put the whole thing on there, so you got to just put this part that you want. Okay. And we'll put that there. And if they match, you're good to go. Private key matches the certificate. Great. I'm good to go. That means that my two files that I have are good. Okay? So that's just a way to figure out if you did something wrong in the long run. If you did everything correctly, you don't really have to check this. Pretty much all you do is compile your app and it should work. And so let's just do that.
So if you don't like doing it, if it works, you don't have to worry about it?
Yeah, if it works, you don't have to worry about it. If it does, then you have to go looking and see what you did wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously I've got 443 here. If I try to locally look at this machine, HTTPS, it's not going to work. Your connection is not secure, blah, 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 blah. That's because I got to send it to the place where I have my application, really. And so
that domain, right?
Right. And so let's just close this app on that domain or on that computer.
Now, you could test it on this local computer.
Yeah, you can. So let's just go Web3. That's the application that we just created. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to copy it. And I'm also need to copy my certificates. And obviously they're not in the web folder, but they're in the directory below. And I'm going to go there and I'm going to copy them there. And remember at the beginning, I'm going to run it. Obviously, there's the application running. And remember at the beginning I had showed you the site, which was this one. And so if I go look at it now, it's not going to find it because it's not an HTTP now. It's an HTTPS. So we just need to be right. So we need to take that out. Take the port number out.
I think you misspelled HTTPS.
Wow, you got a good eye. All right. You do that.
I haven't made that mistake
and
myself. So.
You have an application working, and look at here. It says verified by Komodo. Ooh, it's got the name of our site that's verified. We go to here to log in. We go log in and demo. Oh, it doesn't show me those ad things in it anymore. It's working. It's working as an SSL app. Everything's running just fine on this thing. So there are certain things that you may want to do after you've gotten your application going, like testing and see if it's working. Right? Let me load up. Let's see, what else did I have to show you? Decoder. Okay, files we have. Okay, these are the files we have. We always showed you that. Larry showed me. There's another goal, right? Thank you, Larry Sand. Yeah, he showed me how to bundle the certificate files using your files in NetTalk. So you can do that. In the previous versions of NetTalk, you didn't have two different fields for your certificate and your private key. You had just one, so you need to rename your, if they had different names, you need to rename them so that they have the same name. Otherwise, you can do manually also. Select them manually, but not on the template anyways. And to test your site, there's this special site called SSL Labs that'll test your site. So let's go there. And let's see how secure our NetTalk application that we just secured is.
A minus.
You want to bet? Okay, and there it goes. I bet I get an A.
A minus.
Right, Bruce?
I think currently we're getting an A.
Yep. With NetTalk 10.
Well,
I mean NetTalk 9. You're getting an A. With NetTalk 8, you're getting an A minus. But with NetTalk 9, you are getting an A.
Yeah, so this is one of those things, as we wait for this to happen. These tests that they do here, they're continually updating them.
Uh-huh.
So a site that once upon a time gets an A, if you just leave it alone for 2 years, it'll probably be a B or a C.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you need to keep fixing it.
So you have to keep an eye out. Security is a process, not an event.
Yeah. And this is something that Bruce is going to be helping us out with. You know, you don't really have to do much with it except recompile it with a new NetTalk because he's doing all this work for us. Thank you, Bruce. Otro gol, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
He's doing this work for us. He's actually going in there and see what the problem is. Okay, I need to do this to my NetTalk applications. And he'll add it there for the templates for us to use. And that's a lot of work that we don't have to do.
Oh.
You know, that's great. So we get an A. Right?
And interestingly, to get an A+, you actually have to turn off support for like Windows XP. So it's kind of like you can get an A+. It's not hard to get an A+, but that's security over convenience, if you like. Security is always a balance with convenience. So again, if you're prepared to say, well, guys have to be up on a recent browser, must be like up-to-date browser. I'm not going to support IE 11 or 10. I'm not going to support Windows XP. Then you can get an A+. But obviously, for most of us, we still have to support.
Right.
We still have to allow those old browsers to come in. And there's not really a compromise. I mean, at the A level, you're good. So it's degrees of goodness, but you're good. You're not going to get problematic at A. If you've got a major problem, then you get an F basically straight up. So if you were still using SSL version 3, for example, you'd get an F straight up. In fact, I don't think you get an F. I think you get like a D. But pretty much the same thing, I guess.
So, what's our Chrome say about it? It says it's secure, gives you all kinds of information. Okay, you're good now. If we try to log in, it lets us log in and so on. So we have it created now, a secure site. Nobody's complaining about it. We got an A on it. what else can? Are there other ways to do it? To get an SSL certificate and get it going? Yes, but this is a pretty easy way to do it if you just follow the directions. I will make that file available for you somehow. Maybe I'll convert it to a Word document or something like that, or something on here. Let me. What else do I have? Decoder.
Your timing is so good. You got 4 minutes to the top of the hour. That's excellent.
Side out. Easy as that. Okay. So now you know you can do it. Now you know it's actually pretty fast, pretty easy to do. All you need is your $9 if you want to just do a year. I really, 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 really recommend that you guys do a 3-year because that's the maximum.
You don't want to do it over again.
You don't want to do this every once in a while, you know. If you already have a whole bunch of subdomains set up, get a mixed domain certificate so you only do it once. You can just move that to several of your applications if that's where they are. And so, as Elvis says,
thank you
very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Okay.
So,
Wolfgang says it's more intimidating.
Or an intimidating certificate.
Oh, it's more what? Okay.
More intimidating? I thought I made it pretty easy.
I don't think that's what it meant, but. And then Jane says, as for the certificate trust issue, where the name don't match, in some circumstances you might want to add one or more SANs, which is subject alternative names. Note that this is not the same as SNI.
Right. There's the other one. You can use SNI also. It's off the topic. I'm sure Bruce will get into that once he presents us NetTalk 10.
Yeah, we can put the slides up. So if you send it to us, we'll put it on the site for you.
Right now we can do it without going into all of that, you know, and it's not really all that hard to do. You just follow the steps, and you should be good to go. Anybody can do it. I wish other people would do it for me, you know. Let the IT crowd do it for me. Just give me the files, right? But will the slides be available on Clarion Live Wiki? I'll do something. I'll either send the document or convert it to Word or something. But yeah.
Or give us
give
it to us in zip or something, and then we'll put it up.
I'll do that. It'll be available, and so you can have the slides. It has all the process also.
Hey, you know what? Just put it into PDF. Just export it to PDF, and then.
Okay. Can I do that? Export PDF. Okay. Clarion Live YHTTPS. Okay, there it is. It's being exported to PDF.
We'll put it up. Just Skype it to John.
There it is. Okay. So that's there, and you can use that.
That's the easiest.